everybody, Peter here from the Esoteric Order of Gamers. Welcome! I'm going to show you some more cool stuff. This is for Conquest, Last Argument of Kings, which is a tabletop miniatures game by Para Bellum Wargames. I've done some battle reports for it in the past and I've showed you some stuff, and I just got some new things which I want to show you. I haven't done any Conquest for a while. So many games to play and other things have crowded my attention, but I want to get back into doing a little bit of Conquest. And not only Conquest Last Argument of Kings, but Conquest First Blood, which is the skirmish version of the game as well. You can use the same figures to play a skirmish game. So when you buy Conquest miniatures, you can get it for 2 games. A big tabletop miniatures game, rank and flank, and a skirmish game. Anyway, the exciting news is that they've released a brand new faction called the Sorcerer Kings. This is a kind of Indian, Arabic kind of feeling faction. It's got, well, I'll tell you all about it in a second, but this is the starter set. It's very, very cool. The other thing I got was the new Spire Abomination. Now, the Abomination model is a bit of a classic. It's the thing that got all the attention when Conquest released their first boxed set. And this is a really nice resin version. It's a completely new sculpt of the Abomination. So I want to build that up and show you what it's like and compare it to the old sculpt, and you can see how far Para Bellum have come in the intervening years. And then some really nice useful stuff, which are all the support packs for all the armies. And these come with all the handy activation cards. There's also some scenario cards and things as well, and for spells and stuff. So if you've got a particular army, it's really good to get the support pack as well. So lots and lots to show you. Let's get into a little bit of Conquest, shall we? Now, before I start, I just want to let you know that, of course, Para Bellum sent me this stuff for free so I could review it and show it to you. I don't charge for these videos, and my opinion is always my own. So let's get started on some Conquest. Let's check out the new Abomination first. It's the Artisan series. Now, this is the original Abomination. Bit of a classic model now. Really scary, horrible looking thing. And if you look at the background material about this thing, you'll know that this isn't actually its face. It actually shows the face of the last thing it's consumed. It's kind of a horrible insectoid giant thing. And yeah, it's a really terrifying presence on the tabletop. So this was very early days for Conquest, and they've redone it completely. This whole new design in resin. And I'm very much looking forward to putting this together. Now, when you open up the box, for some reason, it's a huge box with just the model in the middle. So I've got our base there, and these are the resin pieces. And I don't know why, they must have this strange standardization because this box is huge. And anyway, you're going to be throwing it away after you've finished that. So anyway, let's put these resin pieces together and see what we get. And here it is. And what a horrific looking beastie it is. You can see it's really leaning into that arachnid feel. It's very, very insectoid. These huge spiky things, spiky arms are really dominating. And you can see that when you have another unit that it's attacking in front of this, these arms are going to be coming down from above, looking as though they're just about to spike the poor hapless victims. Very impressive. Some extra lovely arm-like bits on the back here. All these very, very spiky elements. I love it. And you can see the legs as well are much more elegant and insectoid. Very, very impressive. Let's compare it to the old one, shall we? You can see, you know, this always looked a little bit toy-like, didn't it? It's a very static pose, very solid-looking thing. This is worlds apart when it comes to sculpt quality. And the other thing that I really appreciated about this new version is that the arms and legs and pieces were all keyed into the slots that they fitted into. With this one, I had an absolute nightmare putting all these legs in because they just sort of rested in ball joints. So getting it to work while you were gluing it so it wouldn't topple as you glue, but also getting a pose happening, it was a nightmare. I remember really having a lot of problems making this figure. Looked good in the end, but this one I think is absolutely on another level entirely. So if you've got a Spire army, wow, do yourself a favour and grab one of these. I mean, this is really a scary thing to put on the battlefield, isn't it? the size of it. Actually, let's compare it to your average human. And there you go, there's one of your original 100 Kingdoms men-at-arms against this thing. And how terrified would you be fighting that on the battlefield? I don't think a sword and shield would really be enough, would it? Wow. Now, my only criticism of this model is that I think it needed some stronger points to attach it to the base. It does have these sculpted base pieces, and you can see this super glues to the edge of this rock, and then it super glues just by a tiny, tiny point to the edge of this little rock. Now, this is better than, a lot of figures I've seen that have these kind of spiky legs. It does have something to attach to, but I feel that that is very, very fragile. I think maybe they could have had more of a sculpted base. In fact, if the whole base was sculpted and there were really solid points for these legs to go into, as though they were driving into the ground or breaking through a rock or something like that, it would just feel a bit more solid. At the moment, it feels like if I just gave that one little pull or twist, or God forbid, dropped it, this would certainly come off the base. But again, that also gives it that feeling, it lends that feeling of it balancing on the tips of these spider-like legs. So, I don't know, it's a trade-off. So there you go. I think this poor old fellow will be retired from the battlefield. I don't know, maybe I'll bring him out of occasionally. I mean, 2 of them would be horrible, wouldn't it? But I'm looking forward to painting this guy up because it's going to look amazing when painted. Really beautiful figure, really impressive. And it just goes to show how far Para Bellum have come with their sculpts over the years. They've really developed as a miniature sculpting company. Now, if you haven't seen these support packs for the different armies in Conquest, let me show you what you get in one. Just move my Abomination aside so I don't accidentally knock it over. That'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? So they come in this nice little pack. Now, there's one little design thing about this which is a little bit frustrating for perfectionists like me anyway. They do have these stickers that close them off. So many things aren't shrink wrapped anymore, which is good for the environment, but the alternative seems to be these stickers that close them. However, because this box has got a matte varnish over the top, or a matte cellar glaze, I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't think it's a cellar glaze, but anyway, there's a varnish. So when you pull the sticker off, it makes the varnish layer come off like that as well. I know, I'm a perfectionist, I know, but that kind of annoys me a little bit. It's damaging the box when it comes off. So I wish they'd come up with a different system. I don't know what, but at the moment that's pulling off the matte coating on the box. So there you go, little thing. So when you open them up, you get a whole bunch of cards, and this gives you a lot of stuff for your army. So the first thing you get is a couple of sets of scenarios. One set is for the last argument of Kings, the other set is for First Blood. Unfortunately, for some strange reason, they haven't actually written that on the cards. So the only way they can be identified is the fact that this has a 6x4 table set up on it, and this one has what looks like a 4x4 table set up on it, which is kind of strange. They could have just written up the top, First Blood or Last Argument of Kings. But anyway, nice to have some scenarios there. You can see some classic different setups and tug of war, broken lines, so raid. So it brings some variety to your games, and there they are in nice easy card form. That's great. Next up you have the cards for all your regiments and heroes. In this case it's the Old Dominion, and like always they have a QR code on them, so you can go online and get the absolute latest version of the rules. Now, these are just used, of course, for activation during the game, so you don't need all the stats and everything on them. You just need to have them to put in the order that you're going to activate your units. Next up, we've got a bunch of objective cards for Last Argument of Kings. And then a set of spell cards, you can see all nicely illustrated, individually illustrated there. Very nice indeed. Now, there's nothing on them except just the name and the illustration. Of course, these aren't, an essential gameplay element or anything, but they're nice to put next to regiments to show that you've cast the spells or to keep track of the spells that you've chosen for the game. So, is anything in here essential? Not really. I mean, it's not absolutely essential. However, it is really nice to have a full set of all your regiment cards. That's absolutely essential. Of course, you do need the objective cards, so that's very important. And the scenarios, not so much. You've got the scenarios in the rule book, so that's not essential. Spell cards, not quite so essential. So it's a mix of important and not so important. But I do have to say they come in nice little boxes. And if you have, just one or two armies, or even if you're just playing one particular army, you might as well get the support pack as well and get all the cards for it in one nice little box. Well, I've left the biggest until last. Here it is, the Sorcerer Kings one-player starter set. There's a whole lot of stuff here to get started with the Sorcerer Kings. Para Bellum have a system where they allow players to vote on the faction they want to do next. And this is the 8th faction. 8 factions. There's a lot of variety in Conquest. Now, they've got a strong kind of Arabic, Indian kind of vibe, Eastern, Oriental. I really hate those terms because they're kind of really generalizing and basically take half of the world and sum it up in a sort of Oriental kind of banner. Oriental is a very dated term these days. So it is a little bit cliched to me to refer to it in those ways as Eastern or whatever. But these are fantasy tropes, I guess. So it's very much got that kind of Arabian Nights kind of vibe to it. You're not looking for sort of subtlety and complexity in fantasy tabletop miniatures games, are you? Anyway, that aside, they're very much a ranged and magic-focused army. And apparently, according to the blurb online, they are quite a challenging army to play. That said, let's have a look and see what you get inside the starter set box. Lots of sprues. First, the most important thing, a Para Bellum sticker. Woohoo! Very exciting. Throw that away. You get a whole lot of support material. Now, as I said, the good thing is that it can play with 2 games. Now, I've got a terrible dark secret to admit, and that is that I've never played First Blood, the skirmish system yet. I just haven't had time. I really want to get onto that and try it out. But of course, I've played Conquest lots of times. We've got a little quick start guide in here. This tells you about, basic stuff like, fighting and everything. This is for Last Argument of Kings. So that'll give you an overview of how to play the game. I'm not sure if it looks like there's simple rules there, so it's probably enough to get started on, but really, you can get the whole rules online. Even better, you can go to orderofgamers.com and download my rules summary and reference, and you'll have all the rules you need to play there. So, what do you need that for? However, there is one for First Blood as well, and I haven't done a summary yet for First Blood, though I am working on it, so it is going to come in the future. But there's the basics for playing that. You have a nice little booklet here showing you how to put the armies together, which is great to see. Nice detail about how you put them all together. That's really good. There's a little thing on the Sorcerer Kings here that shows you some sample war bands. So this is what you can get in the starter set here. And then if you add these particular figures in grey, you can get different types of warbands as well. There are heaps of army building options in Last Argument of Kings and presumably in First Blood as well. You can see on the back here there's an ad. It takes you to the Army Builder online. You can also get that as an app. And if you like army building, you'll love Conquest because you can go down that rabbit hole as deep as you want to. I personally, just want to get my armies out and not fiddle around with that too much. But if you love that kind of stuff, you're going to love Conquest. Got a nice map here of the Sorcerer Kings island or continent or archipelago. Anyway, it's a nice map and that looks really good. That's very atmospheric. And I'm very happy to see this really nice little range ruler that's added in as well. That's quite lovely. Nice wooden range ruler. Fantastic, like that. Now, figures-wise, you get lots and lots of bases, of course. These are all the bases. Now those. We've got a resin figure here, just one resin figure. Not sure which one that is yet. Lots to discover when I put these together. And then, sprues. Hold on, before we get to the sprues, you've got the cards. Now the thing is, you've got the cards. These are the cards that obviously are repeated in the starter set box. Not starter set box, what are they called? Forgotten what they're called now. Army support pack, yeah. So as you buy the miniatures, you get these. So another reason why the support packs aren't essential, but you can get it all in one go. But when you buy your miniatures, you're going to get the appropriate cards, so that's good to know. And here are our sprues. Look at that. And I don't know what to do about sprues in videos. I mean, showing you sprues isn't very exciting, but you can see there's, there's a lot of detail in there. Lots of tiny, tiny pieces. I want to put these guys together. Now, I'm not going to have time to put them together and show you in this video, otherwise this video will be too late. But I will, of course, when I put them together and slap some paint on them, I'm going to show them off and hopefully do another battle report as well, because it's been a while since I did a Conquest battle report. And, I'm a little bit excited about this army. It's got a, nice feel. And if you look at some of the larger figures as well, they're spectacular. There's a Rakasha elemental beast thing with fire coming off its back, and it looks really good. And as much as I sometimes, cringe a little bit at the whole sort of, this is the whole East summarized in one army, I do like that kind of Arabian Nights feel. It's kind of cool. I guess probably because I grew up on, old Harryhausen films and things like, Sinbad and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Just a quick look at the Sorcerer Kings one-player starter set. And I love these starter sets. They just kick you off with an army really nicely. It's nothing more frustrating than trying to build an army by tiny dribs and drabs. It's good to have a chunk of units to get started with, and then you can paint those up. You can have a little play with them, and then you can get passionate about adding more figures to it and doing different army builds and stuff like that. Well, I had a little bit more time after finishing that video, and I did manage to build all of the units from my Sorcerer's Kings starter set. So here they are, all ready to finish texturing the bases and then start the painting. So we've got 2 units there of goals, which are like flaming elemental spirits from the elemental plane of fire. They're basically like walking corpses that are on fire, which are pretty freaky. Then we've got 2 units of the Rajakur, who are sort of, they're medium infantry. They're well armoured, as you can see. They've got heavy chain on as well, and a couple of beautiful banners there. They look pretty spectacular, really nice troops there. We've got the very impressive Efreets here. Now you can build these as sword dancers or flame casters, so basically melee or ranged options. I decided to go with the sword dancers just because I liked the look of Efreets with swords. They look pretty cool. And look at the scale, I mean, really nice and big. Lovely models, those. A lot of movement and animation, that's great. And then we've got our leader, the Raj. He's in resin, as you can see. So you get a lot in the box. That's a really nice start to a big Sorcerer Kings army. Really impressive. Takes a little while to build, of course, because there's a lot of models there, but they're pretty easy to build. They don't snap together perfectly like Games Workshop figures. It's not that level of incredible precision, but they do go together pretty easily. And you could, if you wanted to, do a lot of variation in the poses if you wanted to, just with a little bit of scalpel and glue work. There you have it. Very excited to get these painted and try out the Sorcerer Kings on the battlefield. There you go, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Go to the website at orderofgamers.com. As per usual, there are hundreds of rule summaries and references there, and there is one for Conquest, which, of course, I've kept updated for the latest version of the rules. If you're playing Conquest, it's essential. I'm just going to say it's essential. There you go. Go and download it, and you'll find it really, really useful. And if you like it, and you do find it useful, consider leaving a little donation. That's always appreciated. Or even better, sign up to the Esoteric Order of Gamers Patreon page, where you can support all the work that I do to talk to everyone about my passion for games and give them rules, summaries, and references. Bye for now, and good gaming!